The decisions we made 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, have really come into play in the last 12 to 18 months with the dry times. Most people know we made a conscious effort to introduce some sire lines to put positive fat into some of the cows. Our cows were plenty big enough, we felt, but we just had to add a little bit of positive fat. And now those cows are well and truly into the herd. We've, I think, had the benefits from a very high conception rate this last 12 months, which has probably been the priority. Over 90% of the cows are in calf, with some of the herds actually testing up as high as 100% individual mobs. So I think by just toning the cows a bit and putting a little bit more of that fleshing through them has paid dividends already. Wattle Top Block, I think, has had a tremendous impact in his first year alone on our herd. He was selected with NOLA livestock purchase as a top price bull at the 2016 Wattle Top sale as a yearling. We got straight on with him and used him straight away, and the benefits are already well known, as you can see. He's a bull that's adding us a little bit more growth. He's very high on his indexes for growth, and he's also putting a little bit more general carcass through the cattle. He's a bull with a tremendous bone pattern, very deep flank side bull. Top 10% of the breed for carcass weight and eye muscle area and retail beef yield, and they're the sort of figures after having some of these cows which have covered up nicely with a couple of positive fat bulls previous, that he's just going to give us that little bit extra dimension of carcass, an extra little bit of growth, which I believe is something that we've got to be very careful of. Pathfinder General initially was used just as a bull to weigh some heifers, and we had a very good result there, and I thought the bull himself probably deserved a little bit more credit than that. We've then gone on, and this is the second year of the General cattle, and put him into some more of the main cows in the herd, and I think he's had a tremendous effect there. They're good light birth weight cattle. There's a lot of eye muscle area in them. They're about breed average for fat, which is, I think, is quite a good number for him. The marbling of the bull's just above breed average, and I think they're just going to be very good all-purpose type cattle. Above average for growth again, which is something else we're looking for, and very happy with the Generals at this stage. We were probably one of the first studs in Australia to use the original revenue sire from America, and we were very fortunate in his first year of breeding, and he bred us a bull we named Booragul Revenue M4. M4 sold to $35,000 as a yearling into a syndicate of NOLA, Coffin Creek and Palgrove. We kept semen in the bull, and as soon as we got our hands on it, we started in the program. I believe he's going to outbreed his father, the M4 bull. We're very, very confident with him. There's a lot of yield and visual muscles through the revenue cattle. They're not that big a frame bull. They're a moderate bone typed animal, and I believe our revenues this year are as good as ever, and I think they'll create quite a bit of interest. These are two bulls, Dunoon High Point and Booragul Docklands, which I guess what we call safety first bulls. We've had them now for 2 or 3 years in the program. They are highly consistent bulls. They always put bulls in the first pen of the sale. They've got yearlings in the first pen of the yearling pen this year as well. They're just very consistent cattle. There's a lot of carcass weight, moderate growth through both these sires. They're generally the first bulls that people pick when they come to the bull sale. Docklands K18, the sire which we bred ourselves, he's gone on to produce us some lovely females, which are in production now. Their first progeny are starting to come through the sale ring now. And High Point is a bull which goes back to Regent, has got a huge amount of weight and volume to him. He's a good bone bull, and just two really sound breeding type sires. I think that the program is on track to where we want it to be. With the sire line we're putting together this year, we're concentrating on adding a little bit more carcass weight and more desirable traits through the carcass, retail beef yield and eye muscle area. We're also concentrating on bulls with just a fraction more growth. The reason being is that I'm just worried in the industry that there's a lot of small bulls getting about at the moment. We're still paid either over the hook by carcass weight or live weight through the yard system. So I still think the growth is of paramount importance. We have to keep it up there. We're mainly concentrated on Australian bred sires. I think there's only one bull in the book this year that's by an overseas sire, being Revenue, but the rest of them I've more confidence in some of the selections we make in the industry at the moment, with some of the good studs in Australia producing some tremendous stud sires, and I think they're a little bit more along the lines of Australian feedlot requirements, and that's why we've made a point of sticking to Australian bred sires, and I think the dividends are starting to show.